o'clock, I'd like
that.
to get started. I'd like to call the Lake Ripley Management District Board of Directors meeting to order. It's June 21st, and it is 9 o'clock. Thank you for coming, everybody.
Sorry, keep going.
Roll call. Everyone's here except for Meg. She may be coming in a few minutes late. Is there any public comment today? Okay. Seeing none, we'll continue on. We'll move on to the approval of the May 17th, 2025 board meeting minutes. You have a copy in front of you, and take just a moment to review those.
Okay, I'll move to approve the meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, Laura's made a motion to approve the minutes for the May 17th meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Who did?
Steve.
Steve?
Steve.
Okay, Steve. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's move into the treasurer's report. Debbie, please.
So we had a few deposits this month, which amounted to receipts of $14,580 and $580.90. So the plant sale, which is a pass-through, was $3103.60. We got the advance for that grant number of $7,500, which is also in Leanna's report. I deposited the $100.89 from petty cash. We got $3,750 from the other grant advance. And then there were two Department of Revenue specials. Usually we only get one, but this time there was one that was called Act 12, and then the regular one. So it's $5134 and $7507. The disbursements were $20,804.40. Checking account was $221,046.61. And because our CD came due and we hadn't decided what we were going to do with paying off the loan, I took $50,000 and put it in shares so that if that happens, we're ready to do that without penalty. And then the rest was renewed into the CD. I don't know if there's any questions on the expenditures. On the other sheet, there were some unusual things, like kind of unusual in the Visa bill. We had $905.89 for the truck vehicle expense, repairs, an oil change, I believe.
There was an oil leak on the Chevy
Oil
that
leak.
we had to get fixed.
Yeah.
That's what
Gasket
the
leak or
expense was for.
And then we again had under training, it was $231, and that was for the pay for them attending that training. Last month we had the cost of the seminar. This was for pay, because we're not going to count it in the as doing weed harvester work. I counted under training, the training line item. $695, we had $351, and $227 of that was for probes. And
Those are our water loggers that we have to get maintenance every year.
so, well, that was for the probes. There's another one for the actual fixing of it. Swiffer,
Oh, we had to get a new probe. You're absolutely right. One of our probes stopped working, so we had to get a new one.
because number 5210 is for 61626.
Gotcha.
And then like $955, there was $215, and in the receipt, it's a seed for RCG patches after the prairie burn. So that was for seeding.
That was for spraying the reed canary patches. That was our final herbicide that we got from Heartland Ecological. That project will be wrapping up once I get their final report, and I'll give you guys a better detail of how that 3-year project on our reed canary grass went.
And then
Sorry, Debbie, I just feel like this is helpful.
No, and
okay.
well, because the receipt said it was actually for seeding.
Okay.
So after the burn with that, then you must have purchased some seed to put down?
I did from Agricole. Yep.
Yep.
We put, yeah, thank you. Rye Canada down on it.
Okay.
Canada rye, rather.
And $957, was $239.50, and 187 of that was candy for the parade. And
Which
then-
went over very well.
So,
Thank you.
so that's partly why that bill was higher than normal,
Mhm.
because those were things that we usually don't see. So I wanted to share that with you. And I believe that's the report, unless you have any questions.
Okay.
I
Any
actually
questions?
have a question.
Yeah, George.
Yeah, should the two sums from the Department of Revenue be called reimbursements, or what?
No,
what
it-
are they really?
It's,
Talking about these here?
Yeah.
it's something about like computer aid, so to speak.
Oh,
Because we have office stuff, and somewhere in the state budget, this is what they've decided. It's been there ever since I started. And,
I'm
you
not
know,
super sure, I'm sorry.
no, that's the best I can explain it, is it's an aid from them. And way back when, they explained, like in that seminar, but it doesn't mean a lot to me. All it is that something about, like I said, it's because we have a computer. Like if you had more, we would have probably got more aid. But it's some kind of aid. But I don't know, we've never gotten two before, so I just cash them.
And we usually get one a year, and this year we got two?
Yes, because one was called Act 12, and one was just the regular one. Like the $75 one is the one we usually get, but then there's this Act 12 one. So
Okay.
there's no explanation with the check, so I can't tell you.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions for Debbie's report? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the report as read. Georgia?
I'll make that.
Georgia's made a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Steve seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay, thank you, Debbie.
And, included was an updated expense worksheet, because I usually send them to Leanna, and there's a lot of June expenses in there already, and you can see that we paid that cost share. So it kind of gives you an idea where we are. I mean, there isn't much left to put in here for June. I think I've gotten most of it in there.
So it's your, snapshot for our 6 months.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Very good. All right. Thank you, Debbie. We'll move on to the Town of Oakland representative updates. Laura Payne.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning, Laura.
I have a few things today. The first one is we revised and approved our burning and fireworks ordinance. Leanna helped me extensively with the fireworks section of it. We wanted to make sure that we continue to have the fireworks because it's well received by the community, and it's a wonderful, volunteering service that we have. Yet we wanted to balance it with protecting of the lake. Last year, you did some perchlorate sampling before and after. I won't get into too many details since it's on our agenda today, but there really isn't a lot of guidance or any federal standards for this. So in the end, we decided that within the urban service area, which mimics the watershed, that we would allow a maximum of 3 permits within that area per year. This year we just have 1 so far, maybe we'll have 2. Outside of that area, that wouldn't really impact the lake. We are not restricting the number of permits in that area. You'll see from our discussion later that, hopefully there'll be continued the perchlorate sampling, that the perchlorate is what's found in the fireworks, that we will continue to speak with the Lake District, and then over time, if the results indicate that there's a negative impact, then we can go back and revise that ordinance accordingly. And then we just put a few other things in there about burning. Most of it was already in there about, how far from the lake you need that you can burn, and just items like that to help with the protection of the lake, and as well as everything in there, protection of health and safety of our citizens and our properties. So that was that was just done this past week. Also this past, do you have any questions on that? Well, like I said, we'll talk more about the perchlorates later.
Just might want to add one thing, Laura, is it's a first come, first serve on the 3.
Yes,
I
it's a
just
first
throw
come,
that
first
in,
serve. I
so.
apologize for that. So whoever comes there first, we're in the previous ordinance too, they had indicated the days that you could have a permit, such as Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. At this time, we just put it in there for 3 times. It really isn't necessary to have it only on those dates. You know, if somebody wants to do it for a special occasion for their family, that's fine too. And then we did pass the final plat of the subdivision going in over there, as well as the developer's agreement, and that's between the town and the developer to make sure that that everything is properly constructed. In the end, we will take over the roads and the culverts. We will not be maintaining the stormwater management system for that. So just those types of details are in the developer's agreement. We also have a stormwater maintenance agreement with them, and that I was very adamant about that we had that, that every year the HOA will pay for an engineer or another qualified firm to come out and inspect and maintain as needed the stormwater management system. So that will help the properties as well as the lake to ensure that there won't be any sediment or additional runoff into the wetlands. And the final is just the emergency easement that they'll be using right now for fire and EMS in the event that the main entrance is blocked. And so that will be going to the county now for the final review and approval by the county. Leanna and I met with the developer, John Didion, and the DNR yesterday. We walked the entire site, looked at the silt fences, what was going on at the site, and for the most part, everything looked really good. The silt fences were being well maintained, which isn't always the case. You know, it does not appear that anything is running off-site, so that's a very good thing. We have now asked for weekly inspection reports for their erosion control, and after rain events, they should be out there weekly, and after rain events to ensure that everything is still working properly, nothing's been knocked over or so forth during those times. So that is a good thing. Any questions on the Didion? We discussed last time that our engineer did a full study of what their engineers did, reviewed it completely. I reviewed it with them. It went back and forth a few times to ensure that system was properly designed. So I think we're in good shape with that. They will have to continue with their maintenance every year. They will be required to submit that to the town. If they don't, we will be able to get that done ourselves and invoice them for it. And then the last one is Enbridge. Leanne and I continue to talk to the DNR, review the BERTs on the web for all the reports, talk to each other so we can share information. This month there was surface water samples collected. I will allow later Leanna to discuss that since she was there. At the same time, roughly, Enbridge tested all of the private wells within a half-mile radius. There were 10 residents, 1 business, and no VOCs or PHs were detected, so that's fantastic news. They continue to remove the product from on-site riser pipes near the spill location. And to date, approximately 160 gallons has been removed. It was kind of last minute, but earlier this week, Leanna and I were invited to go to the site with the DNR to see what was happening there. So there's quite a bit going on. The week before, they were collecting high-resolution site characterizations and direct push soil boring samples. And that was for the soil to see what contamination was in there. They have not submitted a report yet since it was fresh information, but the project manager for the GEI consultants were there, and he indicated that the delineation of the plume is basically where they had estimated before. So that's good news too. They started with samples in the middle, worked their way out, and they definitely found clean soil around. So it doesn't indicate that there's off-site migration. So that is also very good news. Last week, they started to install monitoring wells. They will continue this week. There will be 10 well locations for 4 of those sites. They will have a shallow well and a deeper well. So 10 will have wells, 10 locations will have wells screened across the groundwater table, and 4 wells will be screened right above bedrock. Groundwater tables roughly 10 feet below ground surface. I'm sure that will vary different times of the year. And then the bedrock is about 22 feet roughly. So they will be doing those and then sampling those wells on a quarterly basis at the same time as the private wells and the surface water. And they will also be installing their soil vapor pilot well to complete the pilot testing. And then after that, they will use that information to prepare the SVE remediation system. And then a full report of everything will be completed and submitted to the DNR after all this is done. But they will be submitting data within 10 days after it comes in. So they still will be doing it, but then they will add it all together in one big report for everybody to see as well. But you can always go online. Yes?
Well, when you're done, I just
No,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
let you know. I had a question. You said 160 gallons have been collected to date. Is that since the initial removal, or?
Through the high-rise pipes was my
Yes, the high-rise
understanding.
pipes. So they started doing the oil extraction out of the high-rise pipes right near the spill location.
Okay.
And so that's just an ongoing thing. They started, we discussed that last month, and they're just continuing to do that. So total from the start until last week, it was 160 gallons roughly. And they will continue to collect oil until they're really not getting any more out of it, and it's not cost effective to be doing that. And then we mentioned last month that they excavated quite a bit of contaminated soil closer to the stream there.
Yeah.
And they did have some soil reports done, but not a complete report.
Okay.
But they did the sampling results were submitted.
I just wanted to clarify.
Oh,
that
yeah,
to
my
date
apologies.
yeah.
Yes, from the beginning of that. A lot is going on out there.
Yeah.
It seems to be doing very well, that they are following their site work plan very well. The DNR is pleased with their progress with it and what they've been submitting. And I don't know if Leanna got her samples back, but GEI indicated that the samples were clean in their surface water sampling. So these are all good indicators that it's not migrating quickly and that they've removed quite a bit of the contamination.
Do they, I see when I drive by that looks like the flanges are all exposed.
They are not.
They're not
They're
now?
not anymore, no.
Okay.
And
Did they
yes.
do any extra work on the flanges or any
They did not.
checking or anything when they had them exposed?
Oh, well, they maintenanced them
They
as
maintenance
they
them.
would, but they didn't replace any parts.
Right. So
Hmm.
they did some maintenance on them. Leanna asked about that, and they said,
Maintenance like what? What do they do? Like retorque the bolts?
Right,
or-
things like that.
things like that, they did. Leanna had asked about that, and a
I
couple
asked
other
about
things.
putting a shelter over
That was
instead
it.
of putting them in a building and bringing the pipes up. Why not just build kind of like an outhouse similar to what we were discussing? And they said that they are looking at all options with their investigation team, but it didn't seem very hopeful that
No.
that was a real possibility.
But there will be a lot of wells out there, and one last thing that, based on their results, what they see when they drill the wells, then when they start sampling, if needed, they will add more wells or do more than what is in their current work plan. It will be an ongoing process. As they get information, they may have to pivot and start with other information. So this isn't the end all. They will be monitored closely, and if needed, they will be required to do additional investigation.
Okay. Any other questions for Laura?
I know,
Okay.
I know Georgia's always.
Georgia?
No,
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Laura.
No, but
Great
thank you.
report. Been a
Thank
busy,
you.
busy month for everybody.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move on to Jefferson County Representative, Mike.
First, apologies for being a few minutes late. It was a really long drive back from Summerfest last night.
Oh, yeah?
Fun.
Yeah. The only thing that, there isn't really anything super relevant to the district. Just wanted to let you know that the Land and Water Conservation Department did get an award from Gathering Waters for the Farmland Preservation Program, which has really exceeded a lot of what other counties have been doing when it comes to protecting agricultural land from development. There are opportunities for people, if you know people, for example, in the watershed who might be interested in trying to protect their farmland, though they're able to kind of work out an arrangement for purchase of conservation easements. And also people can put those requests in, and that's ag conservation easements through the purchase of ag conservation easements program of the Farmland Preservation Project program. There's a lot altogether there. So, but there are those opportunities, and it's a cost share program and partially covered by NRCS, et cetera. So those programs exist for, if you get some people who've been farming for years, they're going to retire, they don't want it to get developed, et cetera. That's a great opportunity. Especially the benefit there is those funds that they receive can go back into improving their production, paying off debt, et cetera, just to continue farming. So it can be really beneficial for people.
Can I
And
ask you a question?
Yes,
Bob?
ma'am.
Do we have a lot in the farmland preservation in Oakland?
I don't think so. And they're also prioritized based on risk of development. So there's one that we're nearing finalization on the purchase, and that one is kind of, I think it's near Rock Lake, where it's like on the edge of where development is happening. So, those kinds of things where you kind of worry about the development pressure. And I might be wrong about where that location is. I haven't seen the maps for a while. We kind of throw the name of the farm around, and then you kind of get them mixed up. So, but it is like, if there's the risk of it being taken out of production and broken out into sublots, et cetera. So those are the kind of the projects. I don't think that there are any right now.
Okay.
There have only been about 15 of them done since, it's about 1,600 acres, since the start of the program. So, you know, maybe 1 or 2 a year at the most. And this last one, it was like 2 years we've been working on this one project just because there were some problems with the title.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
And the only other thing I wanted to mention is just a reminder
You know,
that there's a reminder that Brew with a View is happening on Thursday at Rock Lake.
Okay.
That's all I got for
All
you.
right, thank you.
thank you.
Any questions for Mike? All right, great report, thank you. On to the Lake Manager's report, Leanna. Oh,
Do it.
okay, sure.
Oh, you're gonna free the bug. Can you get by my bug?
Alrighty, busy month in my office. You guys have read it all, so I'll touch on some of the hot topics under each category. We did coordinate our budget committee meeting. We had that, it was good. We worked out the budget, so we'll be chatting about that a little later in our meeting. I did go ahead and purchase QuickBooks. We were gonna buy it in 2026. Yep. But there was a special going on, and we could get it for a lot cheaper for a few months, and it would really only cost us $350-ish for the whole year, for the rest of this year. So I went ahead and did it because I want to become familiar with it, and boy, is it nice. So I'm excited to learn more about the program and just be more accountable for my budgets is really going to be the big thing for me. Willerup Cost Share Project is officially completed. Yay. It took a long time, but we got there. The gentleman and I met at the county courthouse, and we signed all the conservation easements and soil and water conservation agreements. I went out to the project site for one final time, inspected it, chatted with him about how he should keep it up and what they should do with the rest of their property. They have some rain gardens out there from a previous cost share project, so that was good. Officially over, and it was a good project. So, Sleepy Hollow project, the landowner has officially completed their DNR permit, so he submitted that. Just a reminder, that was the one in the critical habitat designation area. It was designated after we gave him his cost share, so that's why it's taken him a bit to work through this permitting process, because it was new to him.
Leanna, did Willerup put back a shrub layer up at the top?
A shrub layer was not required by the DNR for this project to be put back, but it was required to be stable from any erosion. So there was a top layer added and erosion control blankets added.
All right.
Okay. A couple other homeowners have reached out to me about potential cost share projects, so I'll keep you guys posted on those. The Phragmites grant is officially closed. I know I kept saying almost there, but it's officially there. The deliverables have been accepted and approved, so now we're just waiting on that final reimbursement. It's really cool to watch an area of dense Phragmites go back to wild native plants. It's a really beautiful area now. It's in our Marina Bay on the southeast side of Marina Bay. So if you're ever tootling around there, be sure to check out that shoreline. We're proud of that project, and we're grateful for the landowners for positive participation. Both of our grants are underway. A ton of work are with these grants. So I did already complete a round of Citizen Lake Monitoring Network. A couple of them were actually a part of the Quality Assurance Quality Control Program this year, just to make sure that none of our equipment is tainted and we're getting the proper results. So that'll be good to know from the DNR. Our Lake Ripley Habitat Assessment Grant, we did our nearshore non-game fish survey on June 11th. I got the DNR to donate some of their time, so that was super helpful because they did all the seining and me and my crew did all the shocking. So that was great. I do have all the data, have yet to analyze it just because it's been a crazy month. So give me a month or so and hopefully I'll have that report done. Initial results weren't great. We didn't find a lot of nearshore non-game fish species. And that's something that I would like the district to pay more attention to and put more thought into what kind of projects we can develop to help those species flourish. Otherwise, we won't have a fishery. Those nearshore non-game fish species, everybody else relies upon them. They're the bottom of the food chain. You know, panfish eat them, game fish eat them. So we need to make sure that that fishery aspect is strong. So I'll touch a little bit more of that, maybe this month, but maybe next. We also did the curly leaf pondweed meander survey. It was supposed to be a Eurasian water milfoil meander survey as well, but within the first 5 passes, we knew that there was too much EWM to effectively meander survey it. So we're doing a full PI later in July, and that's when we'll get a better accurate count of how dense that EWM is. So we did that. I prepped for the second Wisconsin Frog and Toad survey, did that. Reviewed the initial PLET survey results with Stantec. I actually got the final results yesterday, so I have a meeting with them set up sometime next week or the following to review all those. Clean Boats, Clean Waters is off to a good start. Tony's down there during the weekend. He sees so many fishermen. You'd be shocked to know how many fishermen are out on our lake every day. Inlet Stream Restoration Project, we did the bank survey this week. Holy crap, that was hard. Kayaking that inlet stream is tough, you guys. A lot of muck in there, a lot of sediment, enough water to be able to kayak it. So that was good, but it was tough. I wouldn't recommend it. We collected all the data, and they will be analyzing that shortly and be getting back to me. So the Inlet Stream Restoration Project's off to a great start. We've completed the majority of our tasks for this year. Now it's analyzing data and getting ready for phase 2. What are our next steps? And we're already beginning to brainstorm grant ideas and what that looks like for next year. I've asked them to give me a budget number by the end of this month, around July 4th, so I can have it for my next budget committee meeting, so I can have a good budgeted number to put in that inlet stream restoration project. Currently, the budget committee decided 10 grand, but that might fluctuate depending on what this proposal comes back at. So I'll keep you guys updated there. Enbridge oil spill, Laura gave a great, thorough description of what has happened over this last month. I can't thank Laura enough for being there. Having an engineer on my team is so helpful when I go out there. She's done this before, so I appreciate all your help very much.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. It's
betcha.
nice to be able to coordinate and collaborate with our findings.
And just to have somebody else on my team, you know, to know that we're both there for the same vested interest is always helpful. We have each other's back, and that's really nice. I did get our samples back. She touched on everything, so I won't elaborate anymore because you did a thorough job. But we did get our quarterly samples back. No VOCs, no PAHs detected. So that's great news. I did forward them to the DNR late yesterday, so they'll be up on FERTs hopefully early next week. I'll touch base on perchlorate later since it's on our agenda. What else? Turtle signs. I did get more turtle signs for Doug. Thank you, Doug. And the district is looking at budgeting for hinged turtle signs that are permanent on the roadways that we can hinge down during the season of turtle crossings so people don't see them all year round, so they don't become oblivious to them. And also, you know, the road ones in the yards and things last about a year. I use about 10 of them around the watershed, and if I'm replacing them every year, that's a cost to us. I thought, why not get permanent ones? So we're working with the town of Oakland to get permanent hinged turtle signs throughout our watershed, which is cool.
Is there any way to also give anybody kind of like keep an eye out for other wildlife at the same time? Because like you get the geese with all the little babies walking
Yeah.
across the road and then walking back across the road, and people come blowing over a hill, and it's goose soup, you know?
I will work on that one, but this year, let me get the hinged turtle signs.
No,
and
I
I'll
didn't
keep it
notice that
on.
we were like, you know, beware wildlife or something
Oh.
like that, you know, watch for.
Gosh, I want to have the turtle one specifically. I just see
Oh.
so many turtles get
Yeah.
crushed, especially near by you. those
Yeah, and it doesn't,
ponds.
I mean, it doesn't help that they're the same color as the pavement, you know,
Yeah.
so it's really, unless they're moving, most people don't actually notice them. And so far, we still have 5 baby trumpeters in the
Oh,
pond.
yay.
So,
I think the key to that is getting folks just to slow down. I noticed coming, you know, as you're heading east on Ripley Road towards my house, the speed is picking up, heading towards up the hill, and that's where we're seeing a lot of the hits of the turtles lately.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the traffic's too fast there. I know there's a flashing sign coming down the hill, but I may meet with Laura and think about options for going the other way.
And I can attest of the turtles because I stopped right past, just east of your driveway, because there was a big turtle. I don't know if it's full grown or what, but it was about that big, and scooted him across, and I risked my life as cars were zipping past
Yeah,
me.
so slowing down is the big thing, I think, you know, for awareness,
Oh, yeah.
right? Georgia?
Right on I guess you'd call it Main Street in Cottage Grove, they have several really nice wildlife crossing signs that have a turtle and a heron and a deer and maybe a muskrat or a beaver or something. I mean, a whole assortment. It's kind of picturesque, and you've noticed it, and you slow down.
Okay, take a look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll look into the prices versus turtle specific versus wildlife.
Well, and, I mean, I know that I've seen on Facebook, quite a few people commenting on, watch out at this location because there's geese constantly crossing back and forth across the road, and, I had to rescue somebody, or, that kind of stuff.
I don't think, I don't know, but I mean, I'm not sure we want to invest any more money in this effort, but
Yeah.
awareness and get it out there on the websites and just getting people to slow down
Yeah.
might be a lot.
Can we
Thanks for
add
all that.
something to, when is the next newsletter? Is that something that you've put in the newsletter
We could.
before? Can
Sure,
do
we
that
could.
again?
I do, yeah, I actually just put turtle crossing in our latest
Right.
ripples
Right,
that was on the
right.
back.
Yeah.
Be careful.
So
Yeah, I
But
do
yeah,
awareness,
talk
remember
to me.
that,
I'll-
but just the
I can-
general
awareness, right?
awareness.
And slowing down, that's,
Yeah, because with the, like, for example, those trumpeters last year, all but one of them got wiped out by a car running over them.
geez.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so
jeez.
sad.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely look into it. Thanks for that input. I've had good discussions with Adam at Delavan Lake Sanitary District about their CARP program. It's something I've been thinking about since our CARP barrier is no longer. I want to add on to what we do to remove CARP from the lake, and I thought, don't reinvent the wheel. Find somebody who has a good program and base your program off of it. So I talked to him. He has about 5 people that he hires from the community. He partners with what is our bait shanty, their marina local bar. And it's a year-round program. The town, the sanitary district, and the improvement association, so not a lake district, each put in $3,000 to this program. And so they have a pool of $9,000, and year-round, these guys can go out and bowfish or spearfish carp out of the lake, take a picture next to their harvester, bring it to the marina, get their money, and then they park their dump truck at the marina, and they throw the carp in the back, and they use it for, they go compost it. And so I thought, that's a fantastic idea. Let's do something like that. Let's try to find some folks that like to spear carp, invite them to join this pretty, tight group. We don't want it to be like a carpathon. Adam said that gets crazy. You can't pay everybody out. It's nuts. You need to have folks that you can rely on to do this year round. And I thought, what a great idea. I forgot to mention it to my budget committee and put it in the budget meeting. I did mention it to both Debbie and Jimmy when I spoke to them afterwards. So I'm hoping that that's something I can put into my next upcoming budget when we have, or our upcoming budget during our next budget committee
Well,
meeting.
And just to add to what Lana said, we had planned on budgeting $10,000 for a new carp gate to go on the new culvert. And there was a lot of logistics with that, getting the supplier to send the fabricator a sample so he could build it to that sample, then we would have to ship it back. It was like 10 grand to do all that. So then Leanna came up with this idea, or she heard about this idea, and we did not at this time include the $10,000 for the new carp gate in the budget. So maybe we can look at, budget committee, maybe we can look at maybe $3,000 or something similar for a carp exploration, or whatever we want to call it, right?
Does that mean, though, that they can, when you're not out there trapping it, a whole bunch of them are still getting in the lake then during that time
Well,
period?
the carp are already in the lake. The carp
Okay.
barrier is to prevent them from getting in those slow-moving wetlands where they like to spawn, or not spawn, where they like to lay their eggs. They spawn in the lake, they come to the wetlands, and they lay their eggs because nobody eats them, it's slow-moving, and then the carp make their way back into our lake. So
Okay.
to prevent them from getting downstream is preventing them from spawning and successfully hatching those eggs. So I think we are reducing the amount of
Carp.
fry,
Okay.
right? But what we need to do is target the adult population in the lake as well. There's a lot of logistics, but it seems pretty easy. He's ran it for a couple years. So just something I wanted
And
to.
do you do that like over one time period, so there's not like a dumpster full of rotting fish?
He empties it, he checks it every day.
Oh,
He's
okay.
a full-time employee like me, so
Just
I would have,
checking.
I would coordinate all the logistics for all that, right? Like I wouldn't let that happen. So something I'm thinking about, and exciting times. Another exciting time, banded killifish project. So like I said, the minnow species in our lake weren't super thriving. And I've been trying to do a banded killifish project with the DNR for, how long have I been here now? 5 years. And I haven't been able to do it. And I thought, why don't I just do it? I can do it. Dave Marshall can help me. He's a consultant, but he'll also donate a lot of his time because he's invested in this project. A gentleman out on, well, I won't give his property, but there's some folks near Cambridge that have fish ponds, and he's willing to donate the fish ponds to me. I've made contact with him years ago. So we've put $3,000 in our 2026 budget for this banded killifish project. We're going to stock some banded killifish in Lake Ripley. There are successful projects that have happened with starhead top minnow that Dave Marshall's done in Wisconsin Lake. And so he's the gentleman that's helping me. And this year, we're going to start already by going and harvesting the banded killifish because we have the ponds for free, I have Dave for free, my labor, and then next year we're going to be able to stock them. So I'm excited that as a district, we're going to be doing something. We know our nearshore non-game fish are declining, and we're going to do something about it. And I think that's really awesome and progressive of us and shows how willing we are to protect our lake. All aspects of our lake, not just our walleye. You know, these fish are important too. Okay, sorry, those are my two big things that I wanted to share with you guys. So I'll keep going. Laura chatted with me about the fireworks ordinance. I so appreciate her coming to me and asking for the Lake District's input. We are doing that perchlorate sampling, so why not partner up and share that information to help protect our lakes? So thank you for that. Appreciate you being an advocate for us. Our spring ripples was sent out successfully. Jimmy said he got a lot of really good reviews. Thanks, Doug, again. We really appreciate that. We're already working on our summer ripples or our August ripples because, you know, it's a lot of work. So get started on that, everybody. Memorial Day Parade went off without a hitch. Organized and put on the pontoon classroom. Thank you, everybody, for participating in that. That went off perfectly. We did have to reschedule because one day was a bit of rain, but super fun event. Next year, I'd like to take maybe like the advanced Cambridge students, so I'm not getting repeat students, and then the following year do like an adult pontoon classroom. So I'm always getting new folks. So just something I'm thinking about. I was asked by Eric Olson at Wisconsin Lakes to be a interviewee or a guest on his podcast about lake committees. So that's pretty awesome. I've never been invited by Wisconsin Lakes to do something, so fun times. Preserve management, I've coordinated a team of volunteers. If anybody is available Monday 9 to noon every Monday, unless this Monday I've canceled because it's gonna be heat index of 102. But we'll be working on buckthorn. So please, if you have any free time, spend an hour, spend 3, help us get some of that buckthorn out of the woods. We got our flow meter back, so that's good news. Don't have to borrow the counties anymore. I told you about citizen lake monitoring. Our weed harvesting is off to a good start. The guys went to a aquatic plant ID workshop. I think it's important for them to know which lakes they're harvesting out of the lake, and they can easily identify them and avoid areas that are native or things like that, so always good. So far, we've removed about 4 loads of curly leaf pondweed. I'm having them target East Bay for curly leaf pondweed specifically. That's one of our invasives, and they've gotten about 4 loads of it out, so that's pretty awesome. Laura gave an extensive update on Preserve at Oakland, so I don't think I need to go through that, but I was glad that John Didion and Dan Becka, Jeff and Laura and I were able to get our boots on the site and look at it, so now we know what to look at. So that's helpful. And then there are all my priorities. It's been a busy month. Any questions?
I thought maybe we should comment, because you have insurance discussion with Charlie Huffman,
Sure.
that we decided to stay with our current company, because that was it, you know, that was a better deal, so.
And that was
just
a
kind of an update,
recommendation. That was
yes.
actually a recommendation from him. So,
Awesome.
Yep.
So
Thanks,
I
Debbie.
just, when I saw
No,
that,
yeah,
I
thank
thought
you.
I hadn't covered that, and so.
so we
Love
did
that.
reach out. We did have insurance agent look at our policy in depth, and he said we have a pretty good deal going, so just stay with it for now. So.
The only thing I'd comment on the Memorial Day Parade is we need to make sure that we're positioned in the parade where there is not somebody following us with full-size candy bars. Too funny.
What a
No, you know, it's like we're
Yeah.
handing out the kind of the off-brand, you know, stuff, and their eyes have gone to the Tree Works truck where they're throwing out the Hershey bars. And
I tried
stuff.
my best to get brand candy like Sour Patch, but it's, you know, it's a bulk mix. You know.
It worked out great. Yeah, it
No,
was
no,
awesome.
no, I mean, we had enough candy.
Good.
So that
It was
good.
awesome.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
All right. Anything else for Lana? All right. Thank you, Lana. Another busy month. Okay, we'll move on to new business. Restricted funds to pay for land acquisition and legal fees, discussion and possible action. So Debbie had been digging into this as we've been getting our fees for some of the land acquisition stuff that we've been working on. Some of those lawyer fees, we think could be moved around a little bit so it's not coming out of the legal account, and we could use land acquisition money to pay for those fees. Debbie said we're totaling about $3,050 right now in fees dealing just with the land acquisition, a couple of the properties that we've,
There's three properties.
three properties that we're working on. So we want permission from the board to go ahead, to take the,
Well, it would be a motion to take restricted funds from that area and use those fees to pay for the legal costs.
pay for the legal costs. So it's not coming just out of that one budget line of, what is it? Our budget line for
Legal
legal
fees.
expenses is
Legal
like 3,000 or something, right? It's like almost a full amount.
And when like I said, I went through from January, and because they line item every bill, and I went through, and anything that was related to land acquisition, I wrote down, and so I had, like, it's through April, I don't think there was anything, like, there's a whole list of them.
Right. So during the budget committee talks, I mean, I know I had mentioned it in other board meetings that I wanted more money added to the legal fund so we could take care of this, but it's a better reflection of how we spend the money. So I didn't ask for much of an increase. I don't think I asked for any then. If this passes, I don't have to increase the legal budget line. We'll use the money and transfer it over. So Doug, that answers your question a little bit too, why the why the legal expenses were so high. And we think we've got a solution, so.
Well, like, in the past, when we actually had an offer to purchase, I would always put that in part of the land acquisition package. But we have never really gotten an offer to purchase or anything, and some of these is property that's being donated also.
Which is still a lot of legal work, because that's not something me and Leon can do. So there's all the paperwork, and I just went down to Janesville yesterday to sign more paperwork for the donation next door here. So there's a lot of things that happen during donation of properties that we have to, essentially, our legal team has to look at. So I think that's just a better reflection of how we spend the money, and we'll keep the legal budget line the same. That's the proposal at the time.
Right, because see, we have $60,000 from fundraising, and then we have the land acquisition settlement, and in this spreadsheet, it also has the money from the loan at this time. So like we had $185,000, available at this point that is in the land acquisition fund.
The money's there, it's just how we want to do it.
Okay.
You want to make the motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we use restricted funds from the land acquisition account to be used for legal fees pertaining to land acquisition.
Okay.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second?
Laura?
Laura?
Just said, I heard it.
Laura? Okay, Laura seconded. Is there any other discussion on the legal fund money?
Is there a restriction on how much of that over time? I mean, is that going to be potentially something that long-term, if we haven't found a piece of property that meets the things that we've been looking for, that we've kind of removed that fund down to a point where it's not useful?
And I guess because this came up during the audit, because like this money is from 2020, like, so it's just sitting there. And I've made donations to this account that I would have no problem having that money be used for that. I'd feel better about it being used than just sitting here, wondering what's going to come forward.
I think when you look at it as an audit situation, it better reflects how we're spending the money and why.
No, I'm just asking that question.
Yeah.
Potentially seeing how that, I mean, since it's been since 2020, searching for a piece of property has taken that length of time, and how that could eventually, all of a sudden, oh, wow, I wish we had that 180, but now we've only got 120 because we've spent so much over that time.
Right, and again, there's a couple different ways to do it. I mean, we could increase that budget line in legal expenses and have more money in that line versus using this money. So that's an option. I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just thinking in terms of whether or not, perceive this to be a long-term thing Or is this going to kind of be taking care of some of the issues right now?
I mean, I've
Hard
been
to
around
tell.
for 10 years or so, and this kind of all hit lately, and I haven't seen a lot of this. We had two people come forward that said they wanted to donate land to us, which is pretty unusual. It's great, but not two at once usually.
Yeah.
And then we were also searching for another property that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So a couple different ones in the last couple years. So it kind of all hit at once, I would say.
And you know, and I guess from being part of all of this for, you know, on the land acquisition committee for all this time, I don't know that we're going to ever be able to find something again, because I don't know that we could afford what the, you know, what the property may go for. These donations of this land may be, you know, I said kind of like Jimmy's like legacy is.
Not my legacy.
But I mean, well, because he started with the one, you approach the one person
Right.
that's looking,
Right.
you know, or to donate it, and it's an important piece for us.
Right.
And it may satisfy some of the things we were looking for. And so we may not, you know, if this all comes about, we may not need to be looking anymore. So,
Okay. Oh, that was my question.
Yeah.
did I do it generally enough?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, any
Without
other,
getting into specifics?
any other discussion on the motion? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Gee, Debbie, what were you trying to say?
Well, I know I have to be careful about some things that, you know, are public and some things can't be.
Okay, we'll move on to pre-chlorate sampling discussion and possible action. We talked about this a little bit. We do currently not have any budget for this testing. Last year it was covered by grant, correct? Or a
No,
donation?
the University of Las Vegas reached out to me asking if I was willing to participate in this survey that they had federally funded. They did about 100 lakes nationwide testing for perchlorates, which is the main chemical in fireworks. And so we participated, and this year their federal funding was removed.
Okay, so there's kind of the history. There's no funding. We got funding the first year. There's no funding moving forward. The thought of this was we would like to do this testing before the firework event on
It's
the 4th
actually
of-
done 4 times. You take 2 before and 2 after.
Right. So during the event of the firework event, right, before and after, we would like to do the sampling, and we currently do not have any budget money for it, so we're asking to do that. But we are also planning on putting it in the budget for the following year.
And one of the reasons why we want to continue to do this is because there is a large fireworks show on our lake. Our initial results came back that were a little elevated, not to be worrisome, but we think it's a good idea to be able to track that data in case we ever do want to inform the town of Oakland and help them amend that ordinance again. You know, if it continues to rise over 5 years, you know, a lot, then that's something that we can consider. But right now we only have 1 year's worth of data. That's nothing for a trend. So we would like to start doing this to help protect our lake.
Yeah, we think it's important to have the data, so.
So the perchlorate is,
How much is it?
I
It
would need
is-
about $700. It's $627. I did get a bid from Pace Analytical. They're one of the only ones in Wisconsin that do this. The state lab does not sample for perchlorates. So about $627. I'm asking for $700 to cover shipping costs.
What was your question, Laura?
I was just going to say, you know, it dissolves readily in the water, and there really aren't any federal standards or much research that's been done on this. So this would be just at least to get a trend of what's happening. They don't, you know, there's not much out there, so we may need to just continue over the years, look if there's any more federal research done on this.
Absolutely, and I am staying in touch with the University of Las Vegas. They are doing a smaller study group, but they can't fund everybody. So I'll definitely make sure that I keep in touch with them about what they're finding and what their results are showing.
Oh, good.
Are you just doing this by the main production, or is this like
That
a
is correct.
mid-lake? Okay. Because, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that shoot off their own fireworks all over the place, and they don't necessarily clean their mess up, so that,
Right.
you know, you kind of wonder how much of that runs into the lake at the same
Well, this is why we have now an ordinance in place, because we want to know who's doing it and when. And if it's a large event, like the one coming up on the 4th, then we're able to do some sampling, right?
Yeah.
If there's additional fireworks around the lake, we're going to know it.
Yeah.
And they need to have a permit, so.
So
We
you're
could
gonna always
address
get
somebody
people with
who
the bottle
doesn't get-
rockets and the, you know, I mean, that was my nightmare when I lived like every single night of the week with a baby in the house.
Oh, yeah. And we do have it in the ordinance that they have to, whoever gets a permit and shoots off the fireworks, they have to clean it up within 24 hours, I believe, and that would help too in case there is a rain event and it's all sitting there, it's all
Right.
going to wash off.
And the group that's holding this event has done a great job, and they've worked
Right.
with us.
Absolutely.
Right.
And they worked with us the whole
Right.
time with some of the ordinance language also. So
Mhm.
it's nothing against that. It's just, we just want to have some data to make sure we're not damaging the lake.
Yeah, right. It was brought to my attention last year by the University of Las Vegas, and I thought it was a good water quality monitoring effort. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing going on right now with the one event every year. That's done very responsibly. We just want to make sure that we have something in place with their assistance so that other individuals who would like to get a permit know what they're
Yeah.
responsible to do.
You can do it just as well.
Right,
and
exactly.
make sure we know about it.
We
So-
outline what they need to do.
Okay, so it's about $700?
Yes.
Anybody want to make a motion to,
I'll make a motion
okay.
to do it, that we should go ahead and do it.
$700.
Spend up to $700? Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Steve, second it. Okay, any other discussion on the sampling? Okay, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, we will move on to the lake manager evaluation discussion and possible action. Before we go into closed session, I think Landon wanted to say a few things.
No, I can wait.
You want to wait?
Did you want to do anything on this budget request before we do that? Because it looks like you're supposed to come back for old business. So should we be taking old business before we go to?
I'm not, what do we want to discuss as far as the budget goes?
I just wrote down some of the things that were mentioned today,
Okay,
but like her CARP money, and then that we may need to budget more for the stream restoration thing. 'Cause, you know, she's getting, you're going to find out by the end of the month if 10,000 is going to do it. So those are two things that I wrote down that we did not address in our budget meeting.
correct.
Yeah, same with, and I was waiting
Oh.
on bids from the preserve. But do you guys want to just come back into open session and talk about that? It won't take but 5 minutes, or do you want to knock it out now? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I didn't know if, you know,
think
like,
we need
then we could end in
We're
closed
going to
session.
need a
and-
motion then to do that.
Yeah, you'd need a motion to move that agenda
So-
item.
I'll make a motion to move the agenda item of old business into the new business, and we'll discuss it now and then when we're done.
Just before the,
Yep. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Laura, second. Everybody, any other discussion? Is everybody okay with that? All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll discuss the old business now and then go into closed session. So old business is a 2026 budget request. We did have a couple other things after the budget committee meeting to talk about. We had two corrections that Debbie had made, which I informed Steve of, and Debbie's going to update the spreadsheet. We had talked about a couple more today. What else do you want to mention?
Well, like Leanna had mentioned, possibly, like we budgeted for a raise for, well, I call them the boys in number 610, but she would like to add a little bit to that.
yep, I forgot
For-
to add a little bit of hour time for them.
Right, and so that was one of the things that we would need to talk about. And then I had the CARP money, and then the stream restoration money, whether that was sufficient. And I think that covers.
Preserve burn bids.
Oh.
That was my last one that I'm getting
Okay.
those bids back for.
Because those
What-
are things that we didn't have numbers for when
Yep.
we
Yep.
tried to put the budget together.
And then after this meeting, we'll have Leanna's package resolved for a draft. So would it be best just to hold another budget meeting?
Yes.
Probably.
Would that be okay? Why don't we just plan on doing that?
Yeah, okay.
And then we can wrap up these last few things.
Right.
Agreed.
We got through most of it,
Yep.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
won't
we
take
got,
long.
we got most of it done. There's a few more things we want to clear up.
because then that budget from our committee would come to you guys next month, because
Yep.
you have to vote on it,
Exactly.
and then it's presented to the community in August at the annual meeting. for
Yep.
approval.
Yep. Okay. So we'll plan on another budget meeting to be held shortly, and we'll go from there. Is there anything else you want to talk about then on the budget?
What month do you go over the budget in
Be in July.
July?
So we'll bring it to the board for approval in July, and then it'll go to the August meeting for total approval of the body
All right,
in the annual meeting.
thank you.
And, yeah, and I won't be here in July, so it probably is good if we have a budget meeting ahead of time to have it all, that it's just going to be presented, and then you can look at it.
Totally.
What day is the July meeting?
The third Saturday.
Yeah.
But what date is?
So Saturday would be the 11th, 18th?
And
19th.
19th.
19th?
I will not be here either.
Okay.
And I have to leave early.
Laura Payne, Debbie not
It'll be a quick
here.
meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a review of the budget.
Yeah.
and
I have to leave by 10 o'clock.
Leave by 10. No worries.
Website says the 19th.
19th, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I will be in Alaska, so.
Nice.
I will
Okay.
not be anywhere that exciting. I'll be in New York City for my family reunion, my aunt's 87th birthday.
Oh,
cute.
well, that's exciting.
Yeah, totally.
All right,
I have to
anything
go
else
do a
on,
reading.
anything else on budget?
Good.
Everybody good? Okay, we'll plan on having the budget committee meet one more time. Okay, now we'll go back to the new business lake manager evaluation, discussion and possible action. Meeting may enter closed session per Wisconsin statute 19851C to consider staff-related employment and compensation. I need a motion to go into closed session.
I so moved.
Heidi, so moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Steve seconded. I'll need a roll call vote to go into closed session. Laura?
Yes.
Yes.
Steve? Doug?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Georgia?
Yes.
And I say yes.